Welcome to another episode on our channel. The last time you saw Thor, or the first time you saw Thor, you saw him as a 3D resin print. The last time you saw him, he had an automotive gray primer on him. Now he has metallic silver on him, just like these two figures did before I put on a black wash. So my last step now is to put on a black wash on Thor and see, hopefully, get some more contrast going on in terms of the bust, more definition to the figure itself. That's the hope. I hope he turns out like these two did. So we will break. I will do the wash and then we will see what happens. We'll be right back. We are back, and you saw Thor as a 3D resin print. You saw it when it was painted with automotive gray paint and then metallic silver. And the only thing I can think of when I saw it in metallic silver is kind of what I thought when I saw these other two sculptures or busts in metallic silver only. I thought of blah or boring. Nothing stood out. It was just, to me, uninteresting. It was boring. It was too glossy. But when you start to put a black wash on something like these things, now the details start to pop out. There's shadowing effects and that sort of thing. So this came out better than expected. The wash did what it was supposed to do and even went beyond, in my mind, what it was supposed to do. This looks awesome. And to me, face to face, it probably looks more awesome to me than it may to you guys on camera, but these three busts look great together. That's all I can say. So we're going to pause now, put him on a turn tray so we can see him from all angles, and then we'll bring out the Kotobukiya vintage Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America and start to do some comparisons. So we'll go around in a minute, but this is truly, if you can see it face to face, it's awesome. It costs probably $25 or less to make. It has a really rich dynamic poetry motion. Sometimes I call it that, fluidity in motion. It's very flowing. It's very dynamic. It's very interesting, the pose. It's majestic, really. So that's the beauty of 3D resin printing. You can find models out there that just take your breath away that aren't on the market anyplace else. And I'm just so thankful my husband learned how to do this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be looking at this right now. It takes a lot of work, true, but the outcome is so awesome. So let's just go around and see Thor from different angles. You can see how far back he's arched to get as much power behind that swing as he possibly can get. That cape is really just blowing in the wind. So there he is. You know, he looks better a little more this way than with the Avengers sign here looking straight forward. But either way, I'm not going to complain too much. Anyway, we'll pause and try to get some closer shots for you guys. So here he is again. Let's go around one more time. And it's the shading that pulls everything together. Just with one coat of paint of metallic silver, he very much is uninteresting. This is so awesome. So we'll pause now and get some of the Kotobukiya figures out. So here's the vintage looking Thor, the statue made by Kotobukiya. It's a one piece out of a 3-piece set. And he looks pretty good. It's just not my favorite piece of the 3-piece set. I like Thor the least, actually. So out of the Kotobukiya set, I truly like Captain America first, Iron Man second, and Thor third. It's kind of the opposite with the bus. I like Thor first, then Iron Man, and then Captain America. So there's symmetry there in opposite directions. So here's Thor, the vintage-looking Thor, Kotobukiya, next to the bust my husband made of Thor, the Avenger. So we'll go around. And again, originally I chose, when we made the first bust, to make the statue in silver. Just arbitrarily made that choice. I could have done it in copper, I could have done it in something else, but I could have done it in gold, but I wanted silver. And it just so happened there's a lot of silver in these particular Kotobukiya statues. So it's a nice complement to the Kotobukiya set. So we'll go around and see. They're both dynamic in terms of poses. And they're reaching out, they're moving. I mean, it's just really complementary. And the neat thing too with using the bus in front of these statues is the statues are way up. Their stands are pretty tall as is. So we're not really covering much up. And you can even put the bus kind of in between the statues. So it's a good combination. All right. There you go. So we'll pause now and get all 3 Kotobukiya figures out on the table next to their counterpart bus. We'll be right back. We are back, and here are all the figures. The vintage-looking Kotobukiya set next to the 3D resin print bus. So when we started this journey, my husband was just making smaller things for me, 3D resin prints like handguns, hats, that sort of thing. And then I asked him one day, could you make something bigger? And he said, what? I said, lion. He said, okay. And he stressed out about it, but he figured it out and he made me a lion. I don't know why I chose lion. It might have something to do with football, but it came out very well. This lion is, something I won't give up. And since he was able to do that more recently, especially with prices going up on 1/6 scale things, I thought maybe he can make me a bust. And so I looked at some of the models on CGTrader, and I found this guy or this duo, this guy and gal duo that make really neat models, and they did busts. And there was an Iron Man bust on there, and I said, could you try to make this? And he said he would, and he did, and it turned out great. We put the metallic silver on it, and didn't look wow, but once the wash got on it, it was wow. The next thing he made was, of course, Captain America here. And again, it turned out wow. And then, of course, he is so thankful that this one was the last one he did, because this one was quite a learning process because of so many structural supports that needed to be placed on this thing. But this came out wonderfully as well. So we have the vintage Kotobukiya looking set. It's not an old set. It's a newer, it's a newer set of items. I don't know what year they were produced, but they wanted to use vintage figures, which they did. Very colorfully painted, very fluid in terms of motion, dynamic poses, just awesome. I probably like Thor the least, but as a set, they're just great, And then once he made Iron Man and Captain America and Thor, actually, once he made Iron Man, I thought about where could I put these busts? And then I immediately thought of the Kotobukiya set, because look at how far up they come. The stands are high. They're rock formations with metal types of things kind of, they're kind of melted into the rock, so to speak. Like they exploded into the rock or exploded out of the rock. I don't know how you want to put it, but they're part of the rock formations. And they're all similar, so they really pull it off as this is a set. But they're high up. And when you put busts in front of them, you're not really blocking the view that much. So to have, an Iron Man next to Iron Man, Captain America next to Captain America, and Thor next to Thor, to me, they look awesome. And of course, you couldn't just have one bust. If you have one thing, you got to have three things minimum, And we had 3 Kotobukiya figures, so it just made sense to put these 3 busts in front of these guys. So I couldn't be happier. Thor came out greater than I thought he would. I was a little afraid, because of all the crisscrossing lines and so forth. But then I thought about it more and I said to myself, well, those lines are deeper than they were on Captain America. Captain America was the hardest one to do in terms of the black wash, because the crisscrossing lines, they're not very deep. So when you wipe things away, sometimes you're wiping away the black wash in the creases. You have to keep doing it again and again until you finally get some paint to stick into the creases. So Thor wasn't that bad to do. I was scared it was going to be awful, but it was fairly easy to do. So I hope you've liked what you've seen. If you have, consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. In the meantime, everyone, please have a great day.